We gather today on 27 April, which is marked as Freedom Day in South Africa, a freedom which was fought for by our people as well as supported by thousands of people around the world, to whom we, in a sense, also owe our freedom to. Former President Nelson Mandela famously said, "Our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians," as a quote. South African political and progressive civil society organizations considers the denial of entry to Palestine of Minister Blade Nzimande by Israel as an affront to not only the minister, the Department of Higher Education and Training, but also as a diplomatic insult to the South African government and her people. Let us be very clear. Minister Blade Nzimande's support for the Palestinian struggle and boycott of Israel is not a personal position, but representative of the various organizations that he is a leader of, the SACP and the ANC in the main. It is wrong for the Israeli government to try and suggest that Comrade Blade Nzimande is acting on his personal whims. In fact, we see clearly that the Israeli lobby is trying to, what is the Israeli lobby is trying to do? It is trying to isolate supporters of Palestine from within the ruling ANC alliance, not realizing that those leaders who come out in support of the Palestinian struggle are simply articulating the alliance and South African government's long-standing positions. The Israeli lobby tried to isolate in our recent past other ANC members and government officials, including Comrade Minister Maite Mashabane, Deputy Minister Ibrahim, Deputy Secretary General of the ANC Jesse Duarte, ANC Head of International Relations Obed Bapela, and various other leaders. Activists for the Palestinian struggles have for a long time now been denied entry into Palestine. For example, the most recent reminder of these pro-Palestinians and BDS position was the ANC's NEC resolutions from last year in support of we quote, a cultural, academic, and educational boycott of Israel, including travel bans for members and leaders of the ANC, the alliance, members of cabinet, members of parliament, and government officials to Israel, close quote. As well as the NEC's recommendation that, again we quote, companies that do business in Israel-occupied, that is Palestinian territories, such as Cape Gates, G4S Security, and Caterpillar, must not be allowed to do business with South African state, close quote. When Comrade Blade Nzimande then supports and advances the academic boycott of Israel in his capacity as minister, he is not articulating his personal position, but in fact that of the ANC, the SACP, and various other South African organizations and people. This incident of not granting a visa to Comrade Blade Nzimande exposes Israeli control of Palestinian borders, access, and general freedom of movement. No one after this incident can claim that Palestine is not occupied by the apartheid regime of Israel. The apartheid state of Israel denied South Africa's Higher Education and Training Minister and members of parliament, Dr. Blade Nzimande, and 3 officials from the department entry visas to Palestine. Comrade Blade Nzimande, who is a member of the African National Congress, NEC, and South African Communist Party Secretary General, was invited to visit Palestine in his capacity as Higher Education and Training Minister by his counterpart, Palestinian Minister of Higher Education, Dr. Kaula Shakshir. The visit was planned to take place from 25 to 29 April 2015, following a state visit to South Africa in November 2014 by Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. The purpose of the visit was for the 2 ministers to discuss an implementation plan signed during the state visit on behalf of the people of Palestine and South Africa by President Abbas and President Jacob Zuma, respectively. The academic cooperation between the 2 countries, it's also meant to encourage further academic collaboration among the 2 countries' various academics, students, and research communities, said the Higher Education and Training Department on April 23, 2015. Bezet University, we quote, and University of Johannesburg have been identified as possible partners to collaborate in hosting area study programs at their respective institutions, and during the visit, Minister Nzimande was to participate in a launch of the Center for African Studies to be based at the Ibrahim Abu Lagut Institute at the Bezet University. Close quote, said the department, which expressed its disappointment at the decision by Israel. It seems that Israel is hell-bent on destroying any chance of diplomatic relations with South Africa. Israel's foreign minister, Avigdor Lieberman, attacked the South African government over the weekend, saying, we quote, "It will be best for the South African government and the Communist Party to desist from attacking and inciting against Israel, which is a glorious democracy that deals exceptionally well, while ensuring maximum human rights and international norms, with threats and terrorist elements which, had they been active in South Africa, would have caused a bloodbath in the streets." Close quote. In that sense, Lieberman continued, we quote again, "It is no surprise that the South African Communist Party prefers the Palestinians over Israel, as like is attracted to like." Close quote. We have resolved to roll out action plan over the next few days. The first action plan we are rolling out from today onwards. We are calling for the ANC government to impose travel ban to Israel as articulated by the ANC's NEC to be implemented and communicated at all different government levels. That a meeting with the Department of Home Affairs to demand that the automatic visas for Israelis, which is a hangover from apartheid, should be suspended, and requirements will be introduced for Israelis wanting to travel to South Africa, including requiring them to declare their involvement in the Israeli Defense Force, the Israeli occupation settlements, or other Israeli war crimes. An announcement on Thursday by the SRCs of 5 South African universities. The press conference will deal with the academic boycott of Israel and will include participation of the South African Union of Students, that is SAUS. BDS South Africa will host an international conference on the academic boycott of Israel, and the Department of Higher Education and Training will be invited to participate and support the event. Special guests will include former UN Special Rapporteur for Human Rights, Professor Richard Falk of Princeton University, who has also been denied entry to Palestine. Omar Baghouti of the Palestinian Campaign for Academic and Cultural Boycott of Israel, the National Coalition and Progressive of Israeli Academics. Fifthly, meeting with the Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry to put an end to Israeli agricultural business operating in South Africa, and engaging with the National Directorate of Public Prosecution to investigate and prosecute South Africans serving in Israeli Defense Forces. Seventhly, if DICO, Department of International Relations and Cooperation, does not expel the Israeli ambassador 10 days from now, then we will take upon ourselves to be at the Israeli embassy on the 15th of May to expel the Israeli ambassador in a protest march, which will also commemorate the Palestinian Nakba. Also, COSATU with alliance partners will use the upcoming May Day rallies to mobilize support for the Palestinian struggle using hashtag boycott Woolworths campaign and in general intensify the boycott of Israeli products as well as services. This decision by Israel constitutes a suppression of academic freedom, which is why we are calling for the academic boycott of Israel. The South African government must act. Failure to do so means Israel can pick and choose which South African government ministers and officials are allowed to visit Palestine. This will be tantamount to Israel undermining South Africa's national sovereignty, which we cannot allow. In terms of international law, Israel does not have any right to decide who the friends of the Palestinian people should be. This press statement was issued by Comrade Nzeni Zogwana, the South African Communist Party National Chairperson and a minister in our government, as well as Comrade His Excellency Bassam El Husseini, who is the Palestinian embassy, who is from the Palestinian embassy in South Africa, Mapaila of the South African Communist Party, Mloleki Dlelanga of the YCL, Matumi Chilwani of the ANC Youth League in Gauteng, Comrade Bekin Chalinchali of COSATU, Ahmed Saluchi of Palestinian Solidarity Alliance, Kwara Kekana, the Deputy Coordinator of the BDS South Africa. Of course, those that I mentioned represent the different organizations. We have also seen several other esteemed members of the academia, pro-Palestinian activists who have joined us here. Dr. Isaac and others are here as well. I think that's also, we really appreciate that. It's a show of solidarity for this action and the statement that we have issued today. Thank you very much, Comrade Nomen.